Initially seen as a fresh voice against the Republican Party, he garnered strong support from many voters, yet he ultimately became a controversial figure. Hello and welcome to Critical Political. I'm Corey, and you're watching The Political Void. This week we are delving into the political downfall that has seemingly ended Graham Platner's political endeavors. Here we go. Graham Platner, who made history as Maine's Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate, has officially withdrawn from the race. Despite facing a series of controversies throughout his campaign, Platner achieved a record-breaking victory in the June 9th primary, drawing over 150,000 votes, the highest total ever recorded for a Democratic Senate candidate in the state's history. His campaign generated a powerful wave of enthusiasm that the Maine Democratic Party must now figure out how to maintain if they hope to defeat Collins in the general election. A coastal Maine native, Platner's background includes 8 years of military service in the Marine Corps and the Maryland Army National Guard following high school, serving 3 combat tours in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan. After working as a security contractor, he returned home to launch an oyster farming business in 2020, eventually transitioning into local government before announcing his Senate run in August 2025. Known as a populist and a progressive critic of the Democratic establishment, his platform focused on housing affordability, universal health care, strengthening labor unions, reducing the political power of billionaires, and ending foreign military interventions. His sudden exit followed an accusation of sexual assault by a former romantic partner, a charge that Platner denies. According to the Maine Secretary of State, Platner submitted his formal withdrawal paperwork 2 days after announcing his intention to step down. In his withdrawal notice, he emphasized that voters are desperate for change and a new kind of politics, expressing gratitude to his supporters and vowing to continue fighting for their shared movement. He concluded his notice with a strong progressive statement. Fuck ICE, free Palestine, up the hearts. Following his departure, the Maine Democratic Party has until July 27th to select a replacement candidate. The current situation leaves the state with limited alternatives to challenge the incumbent Susan Collins. Initially elected to the Senate in 1996 and subsequently re-elected every 6 years, Collins holds the distinction of being the longest-serving Republican woman in the Senate. Her leadership includes chairing the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs from 2003 to 2007, followed by the Senate Special Committee on Aging from 2015 to 2021. As the Dean of Maine's congressional delegation, she stands as the solitary New England Republican across the 116th, 117th, 118th, and 119th Congresses. Furthermore, she and Dave McCormick of Pennsylvania represent the only 2 Republicans from a northeastern state in the Senate since 2019. Collins has also remained the lone Republican official to hold a statewide office in Maine. In an effort to secure a viable challenger for the general election against Republican incumbent Susan Collins, the Maine Democratic Party is organizing a convention to designate a new nominee. This critical selection process must conclude by the looming deadline of filing replacement candidates. For the national Democratic leadership, this particular contest is viewed as a cornerstone of their broader strategy to reclaim the majority within the United States Senate this November. In my view, the signs that Graham Platner could be a problematic candidate were visible throughout his year-long campaign. Despite this, Maine Democrats championed him, captivated by his persona as a working-class, anti-establishment everyman. As an oyster farmer and military veteran who actively criticized billionaires and the oligarchy, His rugged authenticity and progressive agenda initially garnered widespread enthusiasm. He successfully built a massive base of dedicated supporters for the 2026 Maine Senate race. Both journalists and voters frequently pointed to Platner's blunt, unrefined approach as a key factor in his ability to tap into the resentment of everyday citizens who felt forsaken by the current political and economic institutions. His campaign skillfully leveraged this populist appeal, capitalizing on the public's readiness to overlook past transgressions in favor of a carefully crafted redemption narrative, one that was embraced without proper vetting or critical evaluation. While supporters were aware of potential liabilities, they overlooked the possibility that the public knowledge did not encompass the entire truth. The campaign's singular focus remained on securing a win rather than addressing his past or ensuring his capacity to faithfully represent his constituents. Relying on an anti-establishment rhetoric, he positioned the oligarchy and billionaires as his chief adversaries, but such messaging could only carry his candidacy so far. Ronald Reagan has been quoted by saying, "It has been said that politics is the second oldest profession. I've learned that it bears a striking resemblance to the first." Of course, Walter Mondale, who ran against him in 1984, said, "You've got to be careful quoting Ronald Reagan, because when you quote him accurately, it's called mudslinging." That's all for this week. Until next time, remember, silence is compliance. Your voice is vital. Stand up, speak out, strike back. They don't know what they started. If you appreciate this content, please like, share, and subscribe. For updates, ring the bell. Your support truly helps the channel.